All 5 officers involved are black as well as Nichols. The Food and Drug Administration is suspending quality control for milk and dairy products. And Lil Wayne is set to headline his first show ever at Madison Square Garden to celebrate the release of his upcoming album, The Carter 6. It'll take place in New York City on June 6th. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
New Schools for New Orleans is committed to celebrating the hard-working teachers of New Orleans Public Schools. Join us at the 4th Annual NOLA Teacher Fest, sponsored by the All-State Sugar Bowl New Orleans teacher community. The NOLA Teacher Fest is happening Friday, May 2nd at Champion Square from 4 to 7 p.m. The fest is open to teachers, paraprofessionals, deans, coaches, counselors, and other school support staff. Visit our website to learn more and RSVP, www.newschoolsforneworleans.org.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt, and I heard y'all was looking for me. Here I go. I am back, y'all. I'm so excited to be back in this chair talking to y'all. It's been a very restful week. I was gone from Wednesday to Wednesday. Just a little reset, but I'm back. But I want to thank each and every one of you who text just to kind of check on me to see, what was going on with me, but I am very much okay, and I'm back. And I appreciate you missing me, though. I missed y'all, too. We got a lot to talk about. But happy Thursday. How's your week going? I do want to say that I don't want us to, fall out of love with our democratic responsibility because there is some runoffs happening. I know in Jefferson Parish there's a runoff for a council seat. I'll tell you more about that later in the show. But please make certain that you're keeping your eyes and ears listening and looking out for what is happening in terms of what's happening in the legislature. There's a lot going on in the legislature. I saw that Rep. Matt Willett was on while I was out. I talked to Royce Duplessis, Senator Royce Duplessis, while I was out. There's a lot going on. A lot of bills being drafted, and we need to make certain that we're keeping our eyes on it. But I'm excited to be back. I want to thank Reverend Dr. Torrance Sanders for sitting in for me. Also, the one and only Will Sutton sitting. Am I missing anybody, Nyron? Was that it? I don't know. Oh, Dr. Boyd. Shout out to Dr. Boyd for also sitting in. So thank you for keeping my seat occupied until I got back. But I am excited to get back. And y'all know I've been listening for the stories and making certain that I can keep myself abreast of what was going on so that I could chat with you about it. It's a whole lot of going on. But right now, I want to make certain that you be sure to join Grant Sashery, Phil, and Justin tonight at 7 p.m. for the NFL Draft edition of the Sports Report to find out who the black and gold will be drafting in this year's draft. It's all going down tonight, y'all, 7 p.m. on WBOK, Facebook, YouTube, and WBOK1230.com. And if you know anything about me, you know that I am a sports girl. So I will definitely tune into the draft tonight. The first round coverage is happening tonight. There's a lot of conversations about some players in particular, but as we know, Deion Sanders' name carries a lot of weight, so therefore his son is carrying a lot of the conversation in terms of where he's going to land in the draft. I've been hearing that he may potentially fall out of the first round. I don't know what's going to happen, but what I do know is he's fun to watch. He's going to put butts in seats, and at the end of the day, the NFL is a business. And so we've seen a lot of first-round folk go bust, and they didn't even have the kind of fanfare that this kid has attached to his name. So let's not act like he can't carry a ticket, and he will be worth watching. His daddy was electrifying when he was playing prime time, and so I'm certain that he will do well. I do know he was personally being trained by Tom Brady, And some of y'all consider him the best to ever do it at that position. Some of y'all, he has quite a few rings to join that conversation with, because we like to say that people aren't great until they earn those rings, and he has a multitude of them. So if that is the person getting him ready for prime time, no pun intended, then I think he's in good hands, and I wish him all the best. But what I do want to say, to bring this story very local, and not to bring the mood down, but I want to make certain that our thoughts and prayers and our hearts are with the Lacy family, because the draft was supposed to be a very monumental experience for that entire family. And as all of us know, Kyron Lacy, unfortunately, took his life, and he's no longer here with us. But he was another kid who was electrifying to watch. If you watch any of his highlights, because if you didn't watch him, during the seasons when he played for LSU or for the University of Louisiana Lafayette, you missed a treat. He was fun to watch, electrifying to watch. And I know, like, this day, this event is going to be hard for the Lacy family. And so again, our hearts, thoughts, and prayers go out to Kyron Lacy's family. And if you had not gotten the opportunity to read the statement put out by his agent, you might want to do so, and his attorney, who is very adamant that the facts would have shown that his client was not guilty of the things that he was being accused of. And, I have very, very strong feelings about the way that the NFL handled this process, because, again, if you watch sports like I watch sports, we know that there are a number of people who've had allegations made against them. There are a number of people who've actually committed the crime that they were alleged to have committed, and they're still in the NFL. And to pull this kid's draft card without so much as any sort of proof that he had done what he was accused of doing doesn't bode well for the supportive structure that the NFL is supposed to be for its athletes. And I do understand he was not yet in the NFL, but I do know that was his goal. That is where he was aspiring to be. He was good enough, more than good enough, to be there. And as I stated, he was electrifying to watch. So I have no doubt that he would have excelled in that arena. But, he's no longer here with us. So I do know that this is going to be a very, very hard experience for his family. And so I'm going to take this opportunity to make certain that our children know that they are not the sum of their mistakes. You're not even the sum of the allegations made against you. So there's always somebody that you can lean on, that you could talk to, that you can call somebody. Let somebody reason with you before you make a decision that is irreversible. We have to do a better job of making certain that our kids know that they are not the sum of their mistakes. Because you and I, we've lived a little bit longer than that kid. And I've lived long enough to understand that if my deepest mistake, the biggest mistake I've ever made in my life was put on a jumbo screen for everybody to critique and criticize, I'm not certain that, I would be strong enough at that age to hold up against the weight of such criticism. I don't know at that age, because we've all done some things that we are not very proud of. We've all done some things that we don't want anybody to know we've done. But he didn't have the luxury of anonymity or privacy, because his gravest mistake in form of an allegation made against him was being talked about nonstop, as if he was already guilty of that allegation. And we owe our children better. There's some entities that are going to do it. There's some people who are going to do it. We should not be in that number. We have to do better. That's just my take on it, right? And so again, congratulations to all of the athletes whose names will undoubtedly be called today and throughout that process. And shout out to all of the athletes whose names are in consideration of being called, because that is a feat that not many athletes get to attain in their careers. So again, if there's a Lacy jersey still out there, I would love to own one, because we owe it to him. And if not in his lifetime, we owe it to him in his passing, to honor who he was and the legacy that he left for us, to show them that even in his death, his life still matters to us. And so for me, I'm not pleased with the way it was handled by the supposed professionals, the police officers, the district attorney's office, all of those people. I'm not pleased with the way that was handled. Because in investigating this case while I was out and listening to the statement from the attorney, there was a civil lawsuit being brought against Kyron Lacey and also another unnamed individual. And I find it to be strange that you're going after this person for monetary purposes, but they weren't named criminally. They weren't alleged to have been a part of the accident that took the life of the man. I think his name was Mr. Hall, I want to say. I'm not sure. I think that's his name, though. So if we're going after people monetarily, does that tell us that they had some culpability in the accident that would have warranted them being sued civilly? And why is it that person's name is being obscured from us? Why? Kyron's name was put up over and over and over. Why is that person's name not being put out in the public? And so there are far too many answers, far too many questions still unanswered. And the most tragic of it all is that there are two people from the small community of Thibodaux who are no longer here because of an accident. And a rush to judgment, hasty headlines, salacious headlines. Everybody want to be quick. They want that clickbait. They want to be first, but they don't want to be accurate. And it's awful. And in our haste and our quickness to want to jump on that kid and be first to report what we think happened because his name is buzzing, he's no longer here. And a lot of us have to own that responsibility because it was very reckless how that was handled. And I can remember when it first happened. I absolutely said he deserved our love and protection. Even if he was guilty of what they were alleging, he deserved that from us. And we failed. We did. So let's just be clear about that. But y'all know each and every Thursday is Congressman Troy Carter Thursdays here on WBOK. So we will jump into conversations with our congressman at the 7:20 hour. I'm excited to talk to him because there's a lot going on. And I know you're excited to hear from him because there's a lot going on. And you want to be able to get it straight from the source, somebody that's out there in Washington helping to protect us against the insanity that is happening in our federal government. And so I'm excited to talk to him. I also want to ask him about something that Lil Birdie told me, y'all. Lil Birdie told me that Jasmine Crockett, y'all know Jasmine Crockett? Y'all know how I feel about her too, right? Somebody told me that she's going to be the commencement speaker for Southern University at New Orleans' commencement exercises. And if that's the case, that's where I'm going to be. Not even graduating. I don't even work there. I just want to be in the building to hear what she has to say. I think she's a phenomenal representation of what we need in the Democratic Party, and I'm excited to hear what she's going to say to address the graduates and what jewels she's going to impart with them to take with them on their journey into full adulthood, because a lot of them are already living very adult lives, but a lot of them are kids going into adult spaces in terms of the workforce, career, even additional college. And I'm just excited to see and hear what she has to say. But y'all, did y'all hear that there's another signal chat that the Secretary of Defense authored? He put it together and invited his wife and brother to the chat to talk about sensitive information. At what point are we going to sever ties with this incompetence? At what point are we going to protect our men and women of our armed forces? At what point are we going to do that? Because the first time, in my opinion, was more than enough to clean house. But we're now talking about a second signal chat. Did y'all hear about that? And I'm just trying to figure out why this guy, who absolutely should be sitting in the AA meeting somewhere, somebody ought to be giving him some advice to go get him some help. Because watching him literally crash out in these press conferences, it is very clear to me that he's under some sort of influence, allegedly. That's what he looked like to me anyway. So I'm just trying to figure out, because if either one of us, and we're civilians, but if either one of us was sharing sensitive company information with folk who are not a part of the company, I'm certain that we will be looking for a different place of employment. This is not Walgreens, CVS. This is not any private entity that employs him. This is the government of the United States of America, and he's in charge of the most important role, I believe, as far as the safety of the men and women of our armed forces, the safety and protection of this country. I do believe, and you know, people can put whatever word they want to put on it, but to me, it is treasonous to open civilians up to sensitive information that could compromise the protection of our armed forces. I just really don't understand what's taking so long to terminate this man. But what I will say, y'all, and you can tell me what you think, I will say that I think that there's a fear there because he's unhinged. I believe that if they try to separate themselves from him, which he had no business being in a position in the first place, but in my mind, if you separate yourself from him, he's going to be like a lover scorned. He's going to scorch earth with whatever he thinks he knows, whatever information he's had access to thus far. If you think the information is public now, if they sever ties with him, I could almost bet money, I'm so certain, that folk who are not our allies, folk who want to see this country crumble, will have direct access to whatever he thinks he knows. Because I can almost guarantee he's going to go on a revenge tour because he learned from his boss. He learned from this whole administration is on a revenge tour, and he learned it from his boss. And so this is why I think it's taken so long to just terminate him, because he's going to be the lover scorned. He's going to be trying to set up anything to get his lick back. And that's why I think it's so hard, because his boss knows what he's going to do because he taught him. That's why he brought him into the fold, because they're just alike. They're just alike. He's going to want his lick back. You're not going to be able to fire him from that position of all that power, coupled with all of his supposed privilege. He will crumble. And if you think he's drinking now, oh, baby, he going to have him a drink and he going to go bananas. And I think that's what they're afraid of. But that's their fault, not ours, right? It is time to shore up this government and to make certain that the best people are in the best positions, to make certain that we're safe. And I agree. Somebody just texted me and say that they believe that the South African benefactor has our commander in chief on some sort of some sort of upper, or maybe it's a downer in his case. Who knows? But I don't disagree with that. I think all of them are on something. But I do believe that this administration is fearful to separate itself from the very people that they've put in place. Kash Patel, he's going to crash out if he's relieved of his responsibilities. RFK is going to crash out. But I absolutely have my money on P. Hegseth literally going bananas if the Trump administration decides to part ways with him. And rightfully so, they need to. We're going to keep talking about it, y'all, but we have to go to break. But when we come back, as I stated, each and every Thursday is Congressman Troy Carter Thursdays here on WBOK, 12:30 a.m. And y'all stay tuned. We're going to hear from our congressman on the other side. This is WBOK, 12:30 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Good morning and happy Thursday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at today's headlines. A man is behind bars in connection to 2 homicide investigations that took place on the same day. New Orleans police arrested Jamal Washington for a deadly shooting on South I-10 Service Road and another on Texas Drive. The victim of the I-10 Service Road homicide was Christopher Cook, and the victim on Texas Drive has been identified as Reginald Ware. Washington has since been booked on 2 counts of second-degree murder. Then we are kicking off a weekend of major events across the New Orleans metro area. Both the Zurich Classic and Jazz Fest begin today. Gates at the fairgrounds open at 11 a.m. And good news for Louisiana residents, it is Locals Day at Jazz Fest, so you can get in for just $50 with proof of residency. It's the same deal next Thursday, which is new this year. Performers today include John Fogerty, Rockin' Doopsie and the Zydeco Twisters, the Hot 8 Brass Band, and Flow Tribe. As for the Zurich Classic, golf greats will tee off today in Avondale. It's an annual event that raises millions of dollars for charity and boosts the local economy in a big way. Gates open at 6:30 with play beginning at 7 a.m. And yes, recent Masters winner Rory McIlroy is in town and will play this weekend. And that's a look at today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News. Have a great day.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. Constellation Brands, the company behind Modelo and Corona beers, is making changes to a supplier diversity program in a move that could make a big difference to black workers up and down its supply chain. Bloomberg Equality reporter Jeff Green says that Robbie Starbucks singled out Constellation Brands after another popular beer brand dealt with conservative backlash.
When Bud Light had its issue with a transgender influencer, they were the beneficiary, and his point was, well, why should we let this, DEI supporting company benefit from another DEI supporting company unless they're willing to give up DEI? That was the case he was making to conservative buyers.
Both Modelo and Corona recently experienced a surge in popularity due in no small part to people of color. We'll see what the DEI policy changes mean for Constellation Brands going forward. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
NOLA Public Schools is excited for the rest of this 24-25 school year journey with our families, watching our students dive into learning, growth, and success. As the school year continues, our dedicated educators are focused on keeping every student engaged and motivated. Let's keep embracing new challenges, celebrating achievements, and supporting each other to make the rest of this year even more impactful. Stay connected with your school and NOLA PS through our social media channels for updates and resources. We're here to help our scholars attend today, achieve tomorrow.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer, Nara Santa. Nara, I missed you, yeah. Listen, that was too long. That was too long even for me. That was too long even for me, but I did miss you though. But listen, I don't know. I'll jump into all of the wonderful things that are happening with our congressman. I do know that I received an article whereby he was one of a group of Democratic officials who visited the ICE detention center facilities. I know that he met with Mahmoud Khalil, and a number of the other individuals who are being detained, in most cases wrongfully detained. And I wanted to hear about more of that. And so we do have some things to talk about as it relates to that. And it says here that our congressman will continue to monitor these cases and advocate for the protection of civil liberties and the rule of law. He said they all appear physically well, but their detentions raise serious concerns about due process and First Amendment rights. I want to stay right there, because due process and their First Amendment rights, it's in my opinion, more than concerning, right? It's scary, to be quite honest, because if we are going to be a country that locks folk up because they don't agree with our value systems or what we believe should be the way folks should operate, then we're not living in a democracy. We're not living in a free country. And I do know that there's a large portion of this country that would like to see us go back to the 1940s. But this is 2025, and we've come a long way to ensure that people can be protected from political persecutions based on their belief systems. And I think it's a very scary precedent to set. I think it's a slippery slope in terms of the way that we are allowing these detentions to happen. I think it's very scary that our branches of government don't seem to be operating in its intent. And if we could allow one branch to circumvent another, then the very foundation of this country is in jeopardy. And I think to say that it raises questions, it's really, really scary, to be quite honest. I've watched several of these. They look like kidnappings to me. That's what I call them, because these folk are walking up on folks more often than not. They're not even adorned in paraphernalia or anything that would identify them as working for the federal government. And so if people are just allowed to walk up on people and snatch them off the street, I would venture out to ask the question, how do we know that folk are not trafficking people under the guise of ICE detentions, right? You're just grabbing folk off the street pretending to be from the federal government, because even our federal government is showing up not looking like the federal government. And I just think it's a very, 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 very scary reality to have birthright citizenships played with as if they don't matter. The naturalization process played with as if it does not matter, as if there's not checks and balances in place to make certain that people who are trying to be here in the way that they should are not caught up in the politics of immigration reform. And so it's, to me, a very, 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 very scary thing. And I was hoping that we could jump into conversation, and maybe we will, with our congressmen, so just get some insight in terms of where do we go from here? What do we need to do to ensure the safety of American citizens? Because some of these folk are American citizens who are being snatched off the streets in different states in this country. And I don't know where we're headed if we don't do something about this. And I feel very strongly that this is an iceberg that once you allow it to start rolling, it's going to be all consuming, and it's going to be very, very hard to course correct. Something has to be done to put this bully in his place. Something has to be done. What that is, I guess that's the part of the discussion that we should be having. But I don't even know what intel we're using. What intelligence are we using to target certain individuals outside of, I do not like the things that they're saying and they're un-American, and what they're, no, it's very American to have a perspective that doesn't jive with the rest of anybody else. It's very American to be able to voice your opinions about certain things when they go against your humanity. That is very much American. And so simply because no one wants to live in an all-white America does not make them un-American. This whole country is a melting pot of different ethnicities and racial makeups and belief systems. And so to have an administration that believes if you're not white and wealthy that you just don't belong, then maybe you are the cog that doesn't belong. Maybe you need to go find another place to pitch your tent, because this country is not supposed to be one that seeks to segregate itself from the world or to segregate its people from each other. There are people who lived and died to make certain that folk have access to their civil liberties and their civil rights. And the fact that we are reversing course on a lot of these things tells us that we are in treacherous territory, dangerous territory, might I add. And somebody has to check this bully and all of his little mini bullies that are running states into the ground as well. Because here in this state, child, let me bring you up to speed, because there's so many stories that I want to talk about between today and tomorrow, because I'm just bursting at the seams here. But Attorney General Liz Murrill wants to move more teenagers from juvenile to adult court. See, this is what happens when a bully loses. When a bully loses a fight, they don't ever think to go for the rematch in a fair and just way, because, fairness doesn't exist in the world we're in right now. But when a bully loses, they look for ways to circumvent the process so that they can still get what they want, even though the vote of the people told them what the people want. So Attorney General Liz Murrill wants state lawmakers to pass a new law that will move hundreds of criminal cases with 15 and 16-year-old defendants from juvenile to adult courts every year. So my first question to the Attorney General is, what do you believe is the purpose for juvenile court? And then what is the procedure for children to be assessed in these courts as opposed to an adult court? There's a reason why this is happening, ma'am. So what I'm hearing you say is you don't want a juvenile system at all. That's what it seems to me, because if the age warrants them to be in juvenile court, why are you now trying to circumvent that? Because you lost and you feel like you want your lick back. That's what this is about, right? The article says the request comes a few weeks after Louisiana overwhelmingly voted down a constitutional amendment that could have led to similar teenage transfers in the criminal justice system. She mad because she lost. Murrill included Senate Bill 74, sponsored by Senator Alan Seabaugh. Yeah, remember we talked about him? The rep out of Shreveport. Because remember, Shreveport is where Kettle Parish is. And remember, that's one of the parishes along with East Baton Rouge Parish and Orleans Parish who were targeted for this, right? This is where they did their little pilot study on juvenile crime. And that started when our now governor was the Attorney General, when he was sitting in the seat that Liz Murrill currently occupies. I'm certain he handpicked her. Because you know what they say about birds of a feather. It says in the package, she is pushing during the Louisiana Legislative 2025 session. She's talking about Senate Bill 74 here. As currently written, it would automatically put 15 and 16-year-olds charged with felony crimes who are currently going before the juvenile justice judges in front of a district court judge who typically handle adult defendants. What's the reason? What's the purpose? There's a whole lot of science out there. Maybe you should go talk to a neurologist. Maybe you should go talk to a psychologist. Maybe you should go talk to a teacher. Because there's a whole bunch of data already out there that tells you about decision-making capacity in the ages of our children. And at what age they start to really understand the ramifications of the decisions that they're making. And it's darn sure not at 15 or 16. I almost got myself censored just now. In an interview, our Attorney General described the legislation as solely a venue change. See how they try to wrap up things and put them in a nice bow and sell it to us? Huh? You could put lipstick on a pig, my girl, but it's still a pig. She's talking about it's solely a venue change. No, ma'am, it's not solely a venue change. The penalties are vastly different than if you put a child before a juvenile judge who's committed a crime. That is what the accountability is, the juvenile courts. That's where the responsibility is, the juvenile courts, when a child commits a crime. If you put that child before an adult judge, it's not simply a venue change. Why do we allow these people to just lie and it go unchecked? That's a flat out misrepresentation of the truth, because y'all don't like the word lie. It's a mischaracterization of the truth. She says it's solely a venue change, meaning the teens will still be subjected to juvenile criminal standards and not face lengthier adult prison sentences. So if that's the case, Attorney General, why are you changing the venue? If you're saying they're still going to be subjected to criminal standards and not face lengthier adult prison sentences, then why are you putting them before an adult judge? Make it make sense. Oh. We have a caller online, one that I'm ecstatic to talk to, because, see, this is what I love about WBOK, baby. When Doc starts talking, the people start listening and the phone start ringing. Good morning, Jason Williams. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Hey, how you doing, Doc?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Look.
What you say?
I see this.
Mm-hmm.
I never forget when Trump first got into office.
Uh-huh.
And it was a couple people came out and said, if we don't wake up as a community from this experiment, we are in trouble.
Yes.
And he got in the first time. He got in the second time.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's to the point now to where they see we went with the experiment. Because there's no checks and balances. You know, we all grew up in school learning this is the way it goes.
Yeah.
This is the system.
Yeah.
This is how the system works. You do right, good things happen. But as we get older, we're starting to realize, especially as black people, that it's not true.
It's not.
It's not true. I know my parents, your parents, our parents told us to go to school, get your education, get a good job, work hard. It's going to work out for you. Until I got older and realized, it's all about who you know.
Yep. And also, too, let's not forget, Jason, let's not forget that was the fallacy sold to us, because they were just buying their children into the best schools and into the best careers. They were just buying their way there off of favors and quid pro quos. We were the only ones out here pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps, trying to make a way out of no way.
That was, and you are exactly right. I never forget. I was in the 9th grade.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up on the West Bank. Mixed school, black, white, Vietnamese.
Yes.
White
so
guy
did
was
I.
school with Nankeet. Dropped out in the 9th grade. He dropped out in the 9th grade. We all looked like he was crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
His grandfather got him into HVAC way back in 95. Keith is a multimillionaire right now.
Shout out to his grandfather.
Shout out to his grandfather.
Yes.
But a lot of things wasn't told, and I was brainwashed to think, I got to do this, got to do that, got to get this degree, got to do.
Yes.
Our young people need to understand right now.
There are more than one way to
skin
a cat.
In plumbers.
Yep.
HVAC. We have to understand this system, and a lot of things we was taught.
Mm-hmm.
We got to look at it again and reevaluate this whole system, court system, everything. We got to reevaluate.
You got to remember, Jason, this is part of their plan, right? Because we had schools like McDonough 35 and Priestley and Booker T. They had all of these programs embedded into the curriculum of the schools. You could go to Priestley and learn how to strip a car down to the frame and build it back up, right? You can go to certain schools and learn how you can have nursing credit before you leave. You can have a certificate to work in cosmetology upon graduation. All of this was embedded into our school system pre-Katrina. I don't know if you remember, but I remember. I remember
it.
So the assault, the assault was multifaceted. It wasn't just about decimating public school. It was about making certain that all of the pathways that will make our children wealthy, right, to give generational wealth to our families without having to go and get hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt because you had a trade. All of that was embedded into our school system. So this attack was multifaceted. They stripped our schools of all of that before they decimated the school system. That is what happened. We knew that was a pathway for our children. We knew that college wasn't the be-all and end-all, that they tried to sell it to us as we knew that, which is why we created pathways for our babies. And then they came in and they had a multifaceted attack on our school system. And that is why we see what we see today. Right. That's why we see what we see today.
You are absolutely right. You notice now the same things you used to do in high school, you got to go pay for it at Delgado.
Absolutely.
Now. Think about it.
Absolutely.
Paint a car, HVAC, plumbing, all that we used to learn in school. I remember on the West Bank, it was
construction.
Called,
there were young boys leaving high school knowing how to build a house. Do you understand me?
Yep.
So
yep.
I've lived long enough, and I'm very, very young, but I've lived long enough to know that these programs were embedded in our school systems, and you didn't have to go anywhere but school to get the information. That's it. In the same way you were earning your units, you were getting all of this trade information and learning how to work with welding. All of that was inside of our school system. Ask yourself why it no longer exists.
You hitting it on the head, Doc.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is.
But we have to see this.
Yeah. Yeah. And we also have to see that they're trying to legislate us back into the 1940s. And if we do not come together the way we did when we voted down these amendments, we're going to be in trouble. What we saw happening for the amendments has to happen each and every time. We have to show people that they can't just come into our communities and push us around. And the only thing that they understand is legislation and money. That's it. That's all they care about. They don't care about nothing else. You attack them in the voting booth, and you attack them fiscally. That's all they understand. That's it. And when their bottom line no longer looks like they want it to look, that's when they're going to start to do things differently. That's the only way they respect our mind. So we cannot fall out of love with our democratic responsibility. Whether we like it or not, we owe it to our children to show up each and every time there's something on the ballot that warrants us to show up for. Every single time our humanity is on the ballot, whether we want to accept it or not, every single time they're making moves to push us back into the 40s. And I don't know about you, Jason, but I'm not going back.
Me neither. Me neither. You see how they doing in the city.
No.
You see the lakefront, under the bridge,
yes.
this and that. You notice they're slowly but surely.
Yes, and we're going to talk about that, Jason, and I hope you continue listening because we're going to talk about
that.
Because we're going to stop acting like there's not a African-American side of the lake and a Caucasian side of the lake. And we're not going to act like all of the over-policing didn't happen where the African-Americans convene, right? We got to stop pretending like we don't see the play. We see it. All we want is equity. If it's about public safety, then you need to police every community the way you over-police ours. Or how about you just stop over-policing and treat people with dignity? Because there's a very small section of the community that's committing crime. We do know that, but it's not all of us. So don't treat all of us as if we can't walk through this space without being treated criminally. Like, no, we're not gonna accept that. You're not gonna come in our community and operate one way and then go over there and operate a different way. Nope. You either gonna treat us the way you treat them, or you're gonna treat them the way you treat us, but you're gonna do something that looks uniform. That's what you're gonna do.
Exact. I'm gonna keep listening. Thanks a lot.
I appreciate you. Look, y'all trying to get me going, and I have to go to break. But when I come back, we're going to continue talking about it because I want you to see the forest in spite of the trees. I need you to see it. So when we're talking about this law that the Attorney General is trying to pass, I want you to understand that it's going to affect the state's largest court system. And guess where those court systems are? Orleans, Jefferson, East Baton Rouge, and Kettle Parish. And I want you to think about why is that? Why is it? Because those jurisdictions have juvenile courts where the judges solely handle cases involving people under the age of 17. This is a power grab. It's a power move, and I need y'all to pay attention. Y'all stay with us right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about each and every day.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Another warm and muggy day, partly cloudy with highs in the mid-80s. We'll have another chance to see pop-up showers and thunderstorms this afternoon and evening. Some could produce heavy rain. Then partly cloudy tonight, lows in the 60s and 70s. More possibility of fog developing. Then mid to upper 80s Friday into the weekend. For the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning. Happy Thursday, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. If you're just joining us, we're in conversation about this this new law that the Louisiana Attorney General is attempting to have set in place that would send 15 and 16-year-old defendants from juvenile to adult courts each and every year. I want to shout out my boy Jason for calling in and getting in conversation with me, but I want to make certain that you are very clear about what is happening here. The Attorney General is wrapping this law up in a bow, talking about it's just simply a venue change. But my question to her would be, then why? If there are courts already in place to handle cases for juvenile offenders or juvenile defendants, because I don't want to call them offenders, I actually hate that word, but defendants who are 17 years of age or younger, there's courts already in place for that. So is your real aim to abolish those court systems and just have all of our babies 15 and up being handled in adult court? Because you can't simply call it a venue change and still say they'll be subjected to the same juvenile criminal standards and not face lengthier adult prison sentences. So if it's simply about the venue, then why change it? What are we gaining from the venue change? It's not making sense to me. And I was raised to understand that when stuff don't make sense, somebody lying or they're misrepresenting the truth, because y'all don't like the word lie. It says opponents of the bill say the bill would throw 4 of the state's largest court systems, like I just told you before the break, that is Orleans, Jefferson, East Baton Rouge, and Caddo Parish, into chaos, because those jurisdictions have juvenile courts with judges who solely handle cases involving people under the age of 17. Children are not simply tiny adults that you can handle in adult criminal court, said Paul Young, a retired Caddo Parish juvenile court judge who opposes Morrell's legislation. Shout out to you, Paul. Other parts of the state would also feel the effects of the proposal. In some parts of Louisiana, city and parish courts handle cases with teenagers under 17. Like juvenile courts, their authority over 15 and 16-year-olds facing felony allegations will be transferred to district courts focused on adults if the bill passes. This is dangerous territory. But it's because that amendment failed. It's because they lost. So now they're looking for a way to still get what the people say they don't want. If this country, if this democracy is set up so that the people, we have to do the will of the people. Remember, that's how we got the current president, right? That's how we got our current governor, because the people that did show up to vote voted for them, and that's what we have to deal with, right? For better or worse, that's the way the system is designed. So how is it that the people have told you, Attorney General, that they don't want this, but you're still looking for a way to slide it in the back door because it wouldn't walk through the front? That's a problem for me. This feels like a sleight of hand. And anytime you're trying to pull one over on the voter populace, I have a problem with that. This is dangerous. The folk overwhelmingly told you that they're not interested in putting children in adult prisons. They're not interested in having children go into adult spaces to be judged for crimes that they have alleged to committed. The people have said they're not interested. Critics say the public sent a clear message, and I just said that, right? Critics say the public sent a clear message on moving minors into adult criminal justice systems in March. That's when 66% of the state voters rejected a constitutional amendment. And that's 66% of the people who actually went to vote. So let's talk about that, right? We have to start to engage more and more people to get back into the habit of going to vote, because 66% of the people who actually went to vote said they didn't want it. They didn't want it. The bill doesn't go quite as far as the amendment could have. 15 and 16-year-olds will still be subjected to lighter juvenile punishments instead of adult sentences, but the senator's aim is to put more teenagers in adult courts. I don't buy it. I don't trust you. I don't buy it. Because if your aim was solely a venue change, then ask yourself why. If we have infrastructure in place to deal with our children who are alleged to have committed crimes, even if they're the most egregious crimes, they are faced with sentencing that will put them in places, for an extended amount of time. We have this infrastructure in place, right? Why are you trying to sell this to us like it's simply a venue change? Why? It doesn't make sense. If they're going to still be subjected to juvenile punishments, why can't the juvenile judge do it in their juvenile court? You have to make it make sense. You are not telling the truth. And something about this don't smell right to me, because I feel like you're trying to backdoor this and get this passed so then you can circumvent your way into still putting those children into those adult prisons, because you're pretending like this is just about the court. Nah, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. What you talking about, James? Good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, all right. So listening to you talk about this, it brings me to the 13th Amendment. I think about the 13th Amendment. And the 13th Amendment effectively allows for slavery to continue.
Slavery by
So
another
if I
name.
lock up all you 13-year-olds, whether you innocent or you guilty, I lock y'all up at 13, 14, 15 years old. You found innocent after 30, 40 years. Well, at least I'm still giving you some of your life back. But I got all this free labor out you.
And let's not forget, James, that there's a $39 million investment into a juvenile facility made by the governor of the state of Louisiana, who's now trying to pretend like there's no money to pay teachers, but they got $39 million to invest in the Renaissance, trying to make it sound like a country club, but it's a jail for children.
Right.
So we gotta put them bodies in seats, right? We gotta put them bodies in beds. That's what this is all about. Like, this is a power move, and it's so blatant.
And then look, the state law say the federal law say I could work you till nightfall if I want to. I don't have to adhere I could work you from sundown to sundown. sun up the sun up.
And guess what else, James?
What the old folks used to call it?
Uh-huh.
Before day, I could work you that like that. I could work you like a dog from the time you 14 to you 50.
And guess what else now? You have people in Florida and people in other states actually putting into law that kids can work overnight. Because see, they've lost that workforce that they discriminated against, right? That they have ICE agents out there snatching people up off the street. So people are fearful to go to their places of employment. So now you've lost a subsection of your workforce, and now you're trying to put the babies in the place of these people who you discriminated out of employment. Now they're signing bills to give children the ability to work hours that are not in alignment with the betterment of those children. Because then what about school? Because see, it all go together. If you decimate the school, there's no place for them to go. So you might as well let them work.
But that's my point. I think it's all lining up. They're trying to get legalized slavery back.
Yep, I agree.
And they're trying to stand in your feet, play in your face, and say, and trying to say that, hey, well, your child shouldn't have did the crime. They wouldn't have to do the time, and it's a part of doing the time. The
Absolutely,
time is from
James.
sun up to sun up.
I appreciate you for listening. You know, I always love to pick your brain and engage with you, but we're on the same page here. And I want you to keep thinking about what I'm saying. If the Attorney General is allowed to go before the people of this state and say this is simply a venue change, then why change the venue? If you have juvenile courtrooms, if they're not going to be subjected to adult punishment or longer adult sentences, then why does the venue matter? That's because if you get the venue, then you know you could get the prison that you want. Stop playing with us. This is not true what she's saying. It's not. It's not just about a venue change.
Right on. All right.
Appreciate you, James. Have a blessed one. Listen, am I going to look? I want to be very clear here. Like, our job on this station is to make certain that we amplify and uplift the Black experience. And when the Black experience is targeted and becomes under attack, whether it's from our government, whether it's from outside forces, whatever, it's our duty to speak up and speak out against it. And this doesn't make any sense to me. And when you take aim at children, I guarantee you're gonna have to train your sight on me first, because I'm coming. This is not okay with me. This is not okay. And if we do not protect our children, who are we as a people? This is not true. Terry, good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. You know, you're speaking about slavery. I bet you didn't know that half the restaurants that you probably visit, you have inmates working in these restaurants.
Oh, I bet you I did know that. I bet you I did know that.
Yes, indeed.
And I'm gonna go even further. If you've been listening long enough, you know I had a problem with the former sheriff of Kettle Parish, because I can remember he did a press conference and they were telling him that he had to release the inmates who had already satisfied their time. Right? He wanted to continue to hold these people in jail. He got on did a presser, and he said, if I let them go, who gonna wash our cars? Who gonna clean? They got to clean in their houses. They have these inmates doing actual tasks in their homes, but they act like they're so fearful of us, right?
Exactly. And he also said those are the best ones. You let all the good ones go.
He surely did. So you know I watched it, right? Yes.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I absolutely know. It's going. And the crazy thing about it, when I go visit these prisons, when I go speak to the inmates and stuff, a lot of these inmates, when they wear the white, they're proud to have that white on because they trust these and they can walk around a little bit more free. They're proud to do these little menial things for these people, and they don't even know that their rights, the fact that they have you there doing this kind of stuff, they're creating laws and legislation to make it legal for them to do the things that they're doing to you. Because if you are such a threat to society that you have to be incarcerated for the rest of your life, but you could come out to come wax my floors and wash my car, you could do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Come on.
And let me tell you, a lot of those guys have a lot of knowledge and talent.
Oh, I know.
You know, and if we can just direct that in the right place, we'd be fine.
Terry, I
But
went. I
you know,
just visited Angola recently, and I spoke to over 300 black men up there, and they put on a play and everything. And I was just amazed. I mean, they were rapping, they were singing. They had to memorize all of the lines of the play. It was amazing to watch. And one of the things I told them is, we don't need y'all in here. We need y'all out there. We need y'all out there. We need all that talent you have, all that protection, all that intellect. It has no business being behind bars, incarcerated for the rest of its life. You don't need to be here. You don't need to be
I worked
here.
at Angola for 10 years. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, it's too much of our talent behind those doors. But I got to go to break, Terry. But I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Have a blessed one. Look, we got to go to break. But when we come back, we're going to jump right back into it. We're going to talk to Miss Kathy Hambrick from the Amistad Research Center. She is the director, and each and every time she comes, I'm fascinated by her. So y'all stay with us right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Alexandria Ikamoni with 4 things you should know from BIN News. A trial date is set for a former sheriff's deputy in Illinois charged in the killing of Sonia Massey, a black woman, last year. A judge announced that Sean Grayson's trial will start on October 20th. An air quality alert is being issued for New York City as smoke blows in from the New Jersey wildfire. Fire crews continue to make progress on the Jones Road wildfire in Ocean County, which has destroyed over 13,000 acres and affected many black people. A new report from the FBI Internet Crime Compliance Center says scammers and cybercriminals stole a record $16.6 billion from black Americans and other races last year. Ryan Coogler's Sinners is looking to take a second bite out of the box office this weekend. It took first last weekend with its debut at $48 million. Michael B. Jordan stars in the movie. Coogler and Jordan are black. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
New Schools for New Orleans is committed to celebrating the hardworking teachers of New Orleans Public Schools. Join us at the 4th annual NOLA Teacher Fest, sponsored by the All-State Sugar Bowl New Orleans teacher community. The NOLA Teacher Fest is happening Friday, May 2nd at Champion Square from 4 to 7 p.m. The fest is open to teachers, paraprofessionals, deans, coaches, counselors, and other school support staff. Visit our website to learn more and RSVP, www.newschoolsforneworleans.org.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm your host, Dr. Ashanta White, and I'm so excited to be back with you. Shout out to my super producer, Nyron Sanders. I want to make certain that you guys are reminded that the New Orleans United Front is inviting you to their monthly town hall meeting. It's going to take place Monday, April 28, 2025, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Cafe Istanbul. That is 2372 St. Claude Avenue in the Healing Center. I, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt, will be your moderator. The guests will be the Honorable Sheriff Susan Hudson, the Honorable State Rep Delisha Boyd. Stella Cement is the Independent Police Monitor. And the discussion will be honoring Sexual Abuse and Child Abuse Awareness Month victims and survivors. And if you need more information, you can contact Miss Alicia Palmer, 504-458-5809. That is happening Monday, April the 28th from 5 to 7 p.m. at Cafe Istanbul, 2372 St. Claude Avenue. So if you are free, please join us for the monthly town hall meeting put on by the phenomenal people of the New Orleans United Front. I want to also remind you to join Grant Sashery, Phil, and Justin tonight at 7 p.m. for the NFL Draft edition of the Sports Report to find out who the black and gold will be drafting in this year's draft. It's all going down tonight, y'all, 7 p.m. on WBOK, Facebook, YouTube, and WBOK1230.com. So y'all check that out. I'm actually, I want to see how that's going to all work itself out. I don't know that I would watch it, but I do know that I will tune in to WBOK and see what they're talking about in terms of I'll let them watch it for me and give me the information. But right now, I want to to center the Amistad Research Center, where heritage meets vision. The Amistad Research Center is the nation's oldest, largest, and most comprehensive independent archives, specializing in the history of African Americans and other ethnic minorities. The center is dedicated to preserving this history by providing a home to manuscripts, photographs, books, periodicals, and works of art that bear witness to a past worth sharing with the future. The Amistad Research Center offers a unique environment to individuals interested in exploring the rich heritage of African Americans and other ethnic minorities. Without the Amistad Research Center, many documents from the African American experience would end up in landfills, and many stories would end up in cemeteries. As a gift to our community, the Amistad preserves our rich history. As a gift to the world, it generously shares it. And so, listen, if you want to donate, be a part of that continued history, you can go over to 6823 St. Charles Avenue in Titan Hall, that is at Tulane University, and talk to Ms. Kathy Hambrick and let her engage with you and show you all the ways that you can help keep that research center afloat. I know that there's a big, audacious funding goal that they're trying to meet, and we should all do our part. No donation is too big or too small. So please consider going over to the Amistad Research Center and see for yourself all of the history that space encapsulates, and do your part to keep it alive. But we are going to jump right back into the conversation we were having about this bill that is being pushed. And in the article, I want to make note of, in the article, Seabaugh, the author of the bill, is saying it's not a response to the amendment. Yes, it is. Instead, the legislation is a reaction to frustration with juvenile court judges in New Orleans. Y'all heard that? Did you hear that? Y'all ever saw the movie Assault on Precinct 13? This is an assault on our judiciary here in the city of New Orleans, but that's not shocking to me. That is why we need to shore up what is happening in this city to make certain that it can stand on its own, separate and apart from this siege that it's under. So this person who authored this bill is saying that the bill is not a response to the amendment that overwhelmingly failed, with 66% of the folk saying we don't want it. He's saying now this legislation is a reaction to frustration with juvenile court judges in New Orleans, according to Seabaugh and Morrell. I wonder what kind of frustrations they're having with the juvenile court judges in New Orleans. It says they don't believe those judges are giving out harsh enough sentences, and the gentler approach is contributing to a high crime rate. Now, because I am a researcher, I want to figure out if you feel like this about the predominantly white communities with the predominantly white judges, and I want to see what kind of sentences they're handing out, if you feel like they're harsh enough. Because if we're going to talk data, let's compare apples and apples and not apples and oranges. Because I would beg to believe, and I would beg you to consider, that this is the same community that y'all underserve on purpose, that there are no real resources on purpose, that you over-police on purpose, you decimate their school system on purpose, you don't pay their parents on purpose, but you want to talk about the crime. How y'all gonna go to the end of the story and not talk about how the story started? It started with poverty. It started with this idea that you're purposely starving this community, and then you want to look at the community and blame it for its crime. I know what animals do when you back them into a corner and you starve them. Go into the forest and deprive a bear of food. That bear gonna come into your community because it's hungry. Don't play with me. Because, see, I could think a little bit. You probably can pull this game off on folk who you believe can't think a little bit, but long as I can think a little bit, I'm going to think for my community. You not going to play with us talking about the judges here are not harsh enough on the kids here. But you know what else? Y'all don't have enough humanity for the kids here in the city, because if you did, you wouldn't give them piss poor schools. If you cared enough about them, the governor wouldn't have tried to starve them over the summer. But you want to talk about crime. Crime is a byproduct. That's what it is. The infrastructure here is broken. intentionally. Intentionally. Because I would say if you go into those predominantly white communities with those predominantly white judges, I bet you're going to find a school system that work. I bet you're going to find well-resourced communities. I bet you're going to find PTAs in those schools. But see, here, y'all block our parents out of schools. But over there, you welcome the parents into the schools, and then you wonder why the participation is better. You treat our parents like criminals. But you treat those parents like it's a luxury to have them in the building. It's a privilege to have them there. It's a bonus to have them there. Don't talk to me about crime if you're not going to talk to me about how we got to the crime. And I would say that Seaborg and Morrell, they need to come down here to the city of New Orleans and stroll these neighborhoods that you've forced our children to live in. There are parts of the East that you're purposely not restoring because you don't like the demographic that's there. Parts of the East should not still look like 2005. Parts of Algiers should not look like 2005. But don't talk to me about no crime and the juvenile judges not being able to handle crime in New Orleans, and they're too soft on the children. When you're not walking a day in the shoes of these judges who have to make these tough decisions, understanding the circumstances these children come from. Because, see, that's part of their job, too. To understand, and they understand it because they live here. You don't get to live where you live and look down at us as if we're not doing a job, because we're trying to always make something out of nothing. Here, y'all come to our city when you want to laissez bon ton rouler. You come to our city when you want to pretend like you love it, when all the tourists are here, when all the cameras are here, when the Super Bowl people are watching, and when the Taylor Swift people are watching. You come to our city and you pretend like you're a part of it. And then when all the cameras and all the fanfare leave, then you judge us and you talk down on us and you try to seize us. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. What you don't like about New Orleans is New Orleans ain't let y'all kick us around. This is not NOLA. This is New Orleans. And you're figuring that out more and more each day when you come trying to play with our babies. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. And then the article goes on to say she's considering ways to soften the proposal with regards to juvenile judges in other parts of the state because she said there are those who are doing a good job. Girl, that's a dog whistle if I ever heard one. What she's saying is we're going to be hard on the black children and the black judges, but we're going to go to the white communities with the white judges and we're going to play fair. We're going to play equitable because y'all doing a good job. No, they got resources. They have care. Y'all recognize their humanity. You want to do right by them because they look like you, but you want to over-police us because we don't look like you. I will go toe-to-toe with you every day, ma'am. Every day. Because I know somebody that already told you I keep your name in my mouth, and if you want me to take your name out my mouth, get your hands off my children. But I'm going to keep dragging you because you need to be dragged. Because this is foolishness. This is a whole dog whistle. This is nothing but racism and discrimination and prejudice wrapped up in legislation. That's all it is. But if it's a war you want, I'm game. If it's a war you want, I'm game. This lady said she's considering ways to soften the proposal with regards to juvenile judges in other parts of the state. She mean the whiter parts of the state. That's what she mean. Because you know Caddo Parish is real black. East Baton Rouge Parish is real black. New Orleans is real black. So what she really want to say that she can't say is in the wider parts of the state of Louisiana, we're going to figure out ways to treat children like children. But in the blacker parts of the state of Louisiana, we're going to treat the children like the animals that we believe that they are. See, that's what she really wanted to say, but she ain't going to put that on paper. But I see you. I see you and I see Seaborg. I see y'all. And I hope our legislators see y'all. I hope all of the people that's at the Capitol see what y'all are trying to do. She goes on to say She may ask for an amendment to the legislation to give district attorneys in her office the option to move a felony case involving a 15 or 16-year-old to district court instead of mandating an automatic transfer. She just wants power. And you notice she wear a lot of red. That tell me all I need to know about her. Because even the devil had on Prada before. Y'all know that? Y'all watch that movie? But you're not going to play with my children on my watch, and I'm not going to have nothing to say about it. See, this is why we need superintendents. We need city council members. We need judges. We need state reps. We need congressmen. We need people in positions of power to stand against this foolishness. We need school board members that will not sit by and let this happen. We need state superintendents who want to stand up for our children. Because if you can't read between these lines, you're not trying to read. You want to be Ray Charles. You want to be deaf, blind, and ignorant to what she's talking about. She's in your face telling you she's going to treat the white children better than she's going to treat the black children. She's going to treat the white judges better than she's going to treat the black judges because they're doing a good job. She want to be softer on them, kind of like the governor was on the lake that day. He came through with all kind of police and measures for the black folk who thought they were going to frequent the lake on Easter. But he had a whole lot of leniency for the other side of the lake, where they could walk their dogs freely without having to be stopped and ID'd. Huh? See, this is what we have to start doing. When they start doing things, we need to go look for the data. So since you want to tell me that the judges in New Orleans are too soft on the defendants, I want to go and look into what the judges in the other parts of Louisiana are doing. That's what I want to see. How tough on crime they being for those white children in the other parts of Louisiana. That's what I want to know. Don't ever make me go research nothing because you ain't going to like the outcome. I'm going to go get the information because I'm going to talk about it right here. And guess what else, Liz? Attorney General Liz, I want you to come to the Good Morning Show. Naira, we should reach out to her office and ask the Attorney General if she wants to come on for a segment. Let's talk about this law. That's what I want to do. I should invite you here, and I'm going to wear red with you. I'm going to wear your red because that's your favorite color. I'm going to wear it with you so you can know I come in peace, but I'm prepared for war. I want you to come here, sit right here with me, Attorney General Liz Morrell, and explain to me what you meant by you want to soften the legislation in other parts of Louisiana, but you want to be hard because you think the judges in my city are too soft on crime. Naira, we need to send an invitation to her people and ask them, when will the Attorney General schedule allow her to come and have a conversation with the listeners of the Good Morning Show at WBOK 1230 a.m.? She will be in conversation with Dr. Ashanta Wyatt about this law that she want to pass to change the venue, to only change the venue. Let's talk about it. Bring the law with you so we could go line by line and you could help our listeners understand. Because whether you like it or not, you're the Attorney General for the state of Louisiana. That means you also supposed to be in a position to look after us with the same humanity that you're looking after the rest of the state. And if you can't do that, then maybe you don't need to be in that position. Because it's perplexing to me, the things that we allow you to say and that go unchecked. I want to see you, though. I want you to come on. That's what I want. You have an open invitation. Open invitation. Because when we come back from the break that we getting ready to go on, I'm going to also tell you about this executive order that the Trump administration is trying to put into place that would allow school discipline to be put into schools. Corporal punishment. Because if they can't legislate us out of things, they're going to beat us out of things, right? You're not even educating the kids, but you won't beat on them. You won't whip on them. Reading proficiency is 4% at some of these schools in the city. But you won't give them the right to put their hands on people's children. Baby, you can't make this up. We got to go to break now? Yeah, we got to go to break. But when we come back, y'all, I'm excited to be back. I don't know if you could tell, but I'm happy to be here. And I'm inviting the Attorney General, Liz Morrell, to the Good Morning Show any day of the week that she wants to come. I'll rearrange the schedule for you. Open up your calendar and let me know when you can come. But y'all stay with us right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
New Orleans never sleeps, and neither does WBOK. Now, every voice, every moment, and every show is in your pocket. Search WBOK Media wherever you get podcasts. Download, share, rate us 5 stars. Because when you support us, you amplify Black voices and the New Orleans culture.
Good morning and happy Thursday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at today's headlines. A man is behind bars in connection to 2 homicide investigations that took place on the same day. New Orleans police arrested Jamal Washington for a deadly shooting on South I-10 Service Road and another on Texas Drive. The victim of the I-10 Service Road homicide was Christopher Cook, and the victim on Texas Drive has been identified as Reginald Ware. Washington has since been booked on 2 counts of second-degree murder. Then we are kicking off a weekend of major events across the New Orleans metro area. Both the Zurich Classic and Jazz Fest begin today. Gates at the fairgrounds open at 11 a.m. And good news for Louisiana residents, it is Locals Day at Jazz Fest, so you can get in for just $50 with proof of residency. It's the same deal next Thursday, which is new this year. Performers today include John Fogerty, Rockin' Dupsy and the Zydeco Twisters, the Hot 8 Brass Band, and Flow Tribe. As for the Zurich Classic, golf greats will tee off today in Avondale. It's an annual event that raises millions of dollars for charity and boosts the local economy in a big way. Gates open at 6:30 with play beginning at 7 a.m. And yes, recent Masters winner Rory McIlroy is in town and will play this weekend. And that's a look at today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News. Have a great day.
It's off the top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
As the French Quarter Festival was coming to a close, a 36-year-old man brazenly opened fire in front of New Orleans police officers, wounding 5 people. It is a horrifying reminder of how quickly joy and celebration can turn into chaos and fear. Now, what makes this incident even more disturbing is what it reveals about the law, or the lack of it. Earlier this year, you'll recall, the Louisiana State Legislature passed a law allowing permitless concealed carry. Now, that means anyone over 18 can legally carry a hidden firearm in public. No permit, no background check, no training required. Let that sink in. No authorization, no checking to see whether someone shouldn't have a gun. No training to make sure someone knows how to use a gun. Just a gun in their pocket, waistband, jacket, or on their ankle. Police are expected to manage crowded events, busy city streets, and tense situations without being able to question who's carrying a weapon until it's already too late. Their hands are tied, and we are left vulnerable. Any irresponsible ass with a gun is free to put your life and my life at risk. Now, this isn't about gun rights. It's about basic responsibility. Requiring permits and training isn't an infringement. Duh. It's just common sense. It protects the public, and it protects the officers who put their lives on the line every day. Now, if a man can open fire right in front of law enforcement during a festival, maybe it's time the state legislature admits this law needs a second look. This can't be about politics. This must be about public safety. It's time to give police a chance to protect us before lives are lost. This is Norman Robinson off the top.
Connect with NOLA Public Schools. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X for the latest updates. Sign up for District Digest, our official newsletter where we share district achievements, celebrate student successes, and keep you informed about our vision of providing a high-quality education. And don't miss our school board meetings. Watch in person or live stream on YouTube. Stay informed. Stay engaged. Visit NOLAPublicSchools.com today. Again, that's NOLAPublicSchools.com.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Thursday, everybody. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer, Naira Sanders, and to all of the WBOK listening audience and the callers. Y'all know I miss y'all. It's been a couple days, but I'm back. We're going to jump straight to the phone lines. Good morning, Kevin. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. Kevin? Did I lose him? Look. Kevin, if you're listening, call back. And if you want to engage in the conversation, the number here is 504-582-9422. But before we went to break, I was, giving y'all the rundown about this new law that the Attorney General is pushing, whereby 15 and 16-year-olds will be moved to adult court. But the Attorney General, is packaging this law as if it's simply a venue change, saying that they won't face lengthier adult sentences, or they won't be charged. She's trying to act as if it's literally just about where the space for it is happening, the court system that is happening in, and I don't buy it. I do not buy it. I don't buy it for a number of reasons. But, Kevin, I got you back. Good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Yeah, can you hear me all right now?
I can. Good morning.
Good morning. Let me get you off of this speaker. Look, I just want to say this. Look, first of all, thank y'all for what y'all do. It's important. I don't know if you noticed. We don't have this type of information framed the way we frame it at WBOK anywhere else in the state, and I would say very few places in the country, quite frankly.
Thank you.
This is a problem that African Americans have always had. I'm listening to solutions, man. Every day I listen to this radio station, I listen to solutions. The only problem is we have a missing link. The application of the solutions.
Right.
And you said you want to go to war. And until you have some soldiers organized and planned, like they said, we outgunned, outplanned, outmanned, and out whatever in Hamilton, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until we start acting like people who understand we need each other to get things done, we can't get it done by ourselves. And the best defense, because we always on defense. That's our problem. We always on defense. Mm-hmm. The best defense is a good offense. And if you're not seriously organizing in an intelligent way, and don't reinvent the wheel, study what we're already doing, what the other communities are already doing, and apply the same tactics. But look, the black community has failed. First of all, we don't have black leadership. I shouldn't be saying this. Our leaders should be organizing these type of agendas for us to get together so we can start having the soldiers. And I say soldiers. I hate to use that type of terminology, but the bottom line is, look, African Americans were brought here as beasts of burden. The only thing changed is the tactic, but the results are the same. And until we start acting like we still having to deal with those type of mentalities, we're never going to be playing the same game that they're employing against us. So application is essential. It's fine to know all this stuff, but until we start trusting our gut and say what we think it is, regardless of what anybody else say, and start acting accordingly, organizing on those principles of what we claim we see, we're just spinning our wheels, man.
Yeah.
And look, you kill one leader, Martin Luther King or Jesus, whoever, and then all of a sudden we got thousands of years of recovering. That's ridiculous. All those people who was following Martin Luther King, all those people who was following Jesus should have taken up the mantle. And they had a ringside seat to what he was doing because they were there. We don't have leadership. And that's all our responsibilities, not the people in politics. We're all in politics, whether we know it or not.
Yeah.
But we're not getting educated. We need to start getting the proper education. Those of us who know what the proper education is need to start doing that on weekends.
Yeah.
After work. You know, we don't need permission to do what we know the solutions are. That's on us. The other people aren't doing it. In fact, not only are they not doing it, we're having this conversation because they are diametrically opposed to being pragmatic when it comes to African Americans thriving. That's not what we were brought here for.
I appreciate you, Kevin. And you know, I want you to continue listening because the conversation will continue. But thank you for your insight and your input.
Thank you for
Appreciate
what y'all do, man.
All righty. Listen, shout out to Kevin and James and all of those folk who take the time to listen and engage. And if you want to engage, please do so. Always feel free to do so. The number is 504-582-9422. But the reason I keep going back to this article is because I want to help you connect the dots here. You have to connect the dots. Like we knew one of those amendments that we so overwhelmingly voted against was an assault on our judiciary. And now they're just trying to backdoor their way into getting what they want by proclaiming that the juvenile crime is so out of control here, then our judges must not be doing their jobs, right? They need to put stricter criminal measures in place in this city because our judges are not doing their jobs, according to Attorney General Liz Murrill, because this is what she said. State elected officials like Seabaugh and Morrell, who call for stricter criminal measures, like to emphasize New Orleans' public safety challenges, even though the city has seen a dramatic decline in its crime rate over the past 2 years. I guess when she was out there collecting that data, she missed this point. Because then I would like to put those 2 years of the decline up against the other parts of the state of Louisiana that she's claiming are doing such a good job that they want to soften the legislation for them. It says the New Orleans juvenile court judges also pushed back on Morrell and Seabaugh's statements about their lack of effectiveness. Intake arrests for New Orleans minors were down by almost a third between 2023 and 2024, another data point she obviously overlooked. And that's according to the New Orleans juvenile judge spokesperson, Yolanda Johnson. She said they're down by almost a third between 2023 and 2024. The court is perplexed by the inaccuracies being presented that is not supported by data, Johnson wrote. Did you hear that part? These folk are making up stories. It's not founded in sound data, but they can just say it because of the title that they hold, and people in other parts of this state believe it. Other lawmakers at the Capitol believe it because the Attorney General is saying New Orleans is such a crime-infested area. But she's bringing no data with her to support it. Because if she did, she would have said the crime is on a decline in New Orleans. Something must be happening in New Orleans that's working because crime is down there as it relates to juveniles in particular. So Ms. Yolanda Johnson said the court is perplexed by the inaccuracies being presented that is not supported by data. What you say, T-Bone? Good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning, Doc. Glad to hear you back on there.
Thank you.
let me put it as simplistic as I can, because some people are still not getting this. A lot of people think we're just talking over their heads and getting insulted. So let me put it to you like this. You listen to other radio stations, you listen to that music. As Big One said, he want that old thing back.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I'm talking about. Back in the days, the South was nothing but plantations, and that's how they made their money. They had cheap labor, which was slavery. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
They weren't big on education back then. Yeah, they sent their kids here and there, but they really pulled their kids to still work the plantation. Even though they had slaves, they still worked as farmers. They sold to each other. They sold up north their crops, what they harvest. You understand? The North had all the money, and they had different types of businesses up north. This is simplistic, as simplistic as I can explain from a historic perspective. This is what they want back. The South doesn't want the government, the big government, to control them. The North doesn't want to have to deal with certain things like racism, like providing education for certain people, welfare systems. This is how this agenda from Project 2025 surfaced, nourished, and is now at the forefront, at the very top of our government, about to change our way of living and our way of being governed. That's what's happening here. They don't value education, and they don't value people truly all being able to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Because if everybody does, nobody is truly in control. Think about that a second. They say this all the time. Pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. How are you going to pull your bootstraps if you don't even have boots or laces? They don't give you, or they don't provide you the means to do so, and they're not going to. Now, for those of you that think I'm wrong, look it up. Look up how the South was ran, how the North was ran pre-Civil War. When other ideas got introduced, like abolition, excuse me, like economics, to change things, that's when everything went sideways. The North and the South didn't agree on how to do business. That's what this comes down to. We are in, if you change the penal system and make it legalized to enslave people, then those people can't fight back. They can get all the lawyers they want. But because if you allow them to change the code, then that's what's going to happen. But if you sleep on it, it's going to happen anyway. You slept on what happened with the second term of Trump. He was trying to do this the first time around. The second time around, he told you what he would do. He might have lied at first and said, I don't know what Project 2025 is, but look at it now. That their hands were in the cookie jar already. Every last one of the people that's standing there in the Oval Office with him helped author this thing. We didn't make this up. This is public knowledge. And it's not like it's in a newspaper and nobody can read it. It's on the internet. It's everywhere. But you didn't listen. You didn't. You F-A-F-O'd. And this is where we are.
Gotcha, T-Bone. I appreciate you. I thank you for calling and sharing your insight as well.
All right, y'all.
Thank you. Listen, oftentimes when the callers are calling in, I just sit because you taking in the knowledge and the different perspectives. I'm with you. I absolutely believe that this is a well thought out plan. I don't think any of these action steps that they're taking are done so without benefit to the larger plan. And to go back to the 1940s would be to go back to a time and a space like T-Bone and James are alluding to. You know, slavery by another name, that is absolutely, you know, the way that they're using the penal systems, right? It's not about rehabilitating folk. It's not about housing folk and to make certain that we're doing it in the vein of public safety. This is about cheap labor. This is about taking already marginalized communities and shrinking them so that they could always seem to be the majority. And because we live in a whole majority rule type system. So if they are the majority, they will always rule. So this is, I agree with you, T-Bone. I have no pushback against that, but I just want to make certain that we connect dots here. Please connect the dots here. You ask yourself, why would we invest $39 million in a juvenile facility, the governor? And then we got the attorney general looking for ways to lock up more children. I don't know about y'all, but 2 and 2 always going to be 4. And not 4, 4. Always. I don't care how you skin it. Always. There is a correlation between everything that they're doing. That is why the education system looks the way it looks. Because you don't want them in a schoolhouse. You want them in the street. Because in the street, the police go police them. In the schoolhouse, the teacher is trying to guide them and lead them and build them up. You don't want them in a schoolhouse. You want them in the street, fighting for their very lives and existence with zero resources. And then the things that we have in place for the kids to do, you make it so hard for them to participate. Because more often than not, the children who are already flagged as some sort of behavior issue or problem, those are the kids that need the resources the most. They need the program the most. They need that after-school activity the most. But you barred them from it based on their behavior. Oh, you can't come. You already got too many write-ups. But that's the kid that need it. So the system is already a juggernaut, right? It's already this maze of confusion. And once they deem you as a problem, it's very hard to wash yourself from that scarlet letter. It's very, very hard. But that's why I fight the way I do for children, because I need them to know I don't care what you have been accused of doing. I don't care what you've done. You are redeemable. And there are people out there who love you, and people out there who are going to protect you, and people out there who are going to stand up against legislation that's only made for your demise. Now, does that mean we absolve you of accountability? Absolutely not. I'm going to sit with you in the courthouse. Because if you've done something and they found you responsible for it, you're going to be held accountable for it. But I'm going to make sure that you're not alone. I'm going to make sure that you know when it's all said and done, you still have a community to come home to. Because what I do not want is another Kyron Lacey. I do not want children believing that they are the sum of the worst thing they've ever been accused of, and they decide that leaving here is better than living here. That's a problem. What you say, Pop? Good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Hello, Dr. Wise. I thought I was going to send a po after you.
I'm here. I'm president of
You
County.
said you was going to be gone 1 or 2 days. I said, wait a minute. What's going on?
I'm back now. I'm here.
Glad you're back in stride again. Huh?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you right on the money. So much going on, Doc. It's just mind-boggling that they can just deny the people of food, fire them on their jobs, deny them on medicine. And like somebody say, you treat them worse than animals.
Yeah. That's right.
So how could you expect, if you got your own children and you denying them food, got them sleeping underneath the house or something, and you living in the house yourself, how you expect a good result to come out from them. So it's just mind-boggling, Dr. Wise, to kind of understand, are we living in America? Or are these people human? Or are they from another planet? Or what? What's going on with them?
Yeah, I don't know, Pop. I try to work through that question every single time you ask it, but I just think that when God was handing out humanity, some of them got skipped in a line. That's what I think, because they don't have it. It don't exist in them. They cannot see the humanity, anything that looks different than what they look like, or different than what they see as valuable.
I came up during, the times when we were not slavery, but Jim Crow, and at least there are some people that showed you some love, and even today. But I kind of wonder where some of these people come from, and they even hurting the goose. Billionaires don't have no sense at all. You kill America, you're gonna wind up being poor too.
Yeah.
That's where all the resources, all the money. America, they don't know history. America, NATO, and all those people. America's been the one that take care of all those countries.
Yeah.
Everything you get, more or less, come from China. So why are you gonna go against the goose that laid a golden egg?
Listen, I don't know, but we're going to continue to talk about it. I got to go to break. We got to hear a word from our sponsors. But, I appreciate you, Pop, and I miss your voice, too.
Oh, you do? All right. I miss you, too. Have a blessed one.
Have a blessed one. Look, we got to go to break, y'all. But when we come back, I'm going to try to wrap this thing up for you. I'm going to try to make it make sense and connect these dots. And I'm also going to tell you about this May 3rd election that we have going on. So stay with us right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Another warm and muggy day, partly cloudy with highs in the mid-80s. We'll have another chance to see pop-up showers and thunderstorms this afternoon and evening. Some could produce heavy rain. Then partly cloudy tonight, lows in the 60s and 70s. More possibility of fog developing. Then mid to upper 80s Friday into the weekend. For the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor. We're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter, from real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Every Friday at noon on WBOK.
New Orleans, if you know a young adult or you are a young adult, listen up. This is your chance to level up your future.
Job One's Young Adult Career Expo is going down April 16th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 1307 Oritha Castle Haley Boulevard.
Put on your best outfit, grab your resume, and meet employers from across the city.
Some of them might even hire you on the spot.
This is your moment. Get ready with Job One. Tell a teen, tell a cousin, tell everybody 16 and up. Register now at jobonenola.org.
Paid for by the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act.
Do you know what United Way can do for you and your community? Find out by listening to United Way and You every Thursday at noon on WBOK 1230. United Way continues to fight for the most vulnerable members of the community. Find out how this Thursday and every Thursday at noon.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryant Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I'm your host, Dr. Ashanta Wise. Shout out to my super producer, Lewis and Iron Sands. I also want to give a shout out to the one and only Pop Jones. I missed your voice in real life. Thank you for calling in and engaging with me this morning. But we were talking about this executive order that the guy in the White House signed, talking about school discipline. Now, my question is, what do you want him to? Are we going to try to get back to corporal punishment? Is that what we're doing? Because what are we talking about with school discipline? Like you really want to dismantle the Department of Education. So I'm not even certain why you have any input on what's happening in schools, because you don't even want to have the agency that governs all of the things, and you want to give the states the rights to just operate like they want to operate. So I don't know. It's a ball of confusion right there. But when I try to unconfuse it, I'll bring you more information, because as it stands right now, it says he signed an order to undo policies from former presidents Obama and Biden. And I mean, that's a whole nother thing. I think sometimes the goal is just to poke at his predecessors and a lot of these executive orders that he's signing. He moved President Obama's picture from the hall where it was being displayed and moved it in a different part of the White House so that he could put his mugshot looking picture there. I mean, it's just so insane what we are becoming as a country, and it is so trivial. You know, we have a Secretary of Defense that is discussing sensitive classified information on an open Signal chat, not once but twice. And then he even downloaded the Signal app on the governmental computer in his office. And I mean, I don't know if he thinks his wife has top level clearance or if she is somehow a part of the DOD, but he seems to want to bring her into important meetings, and now he's sharing sensitive classified information through the Signal chat with her. I'm waiting for the announcement of his termination, and it is my understanding that they're having conversations about that. But I want to warn or give some insight there. I believe he's going to be unhinged, because if you mix an inflated ego with alcohol and the fact that he had this all-consuming powerful job, and now he's just going to go back to civilian obscure life, that is a recipe for a crash out. And I expect to see him crash out. I mean, he has a disease. He is an alcoholic. And even in the Senate confirmation hearings, he did not and could not say that he would refrain from drinking. But somebody needs to sign him up for the nearest Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. He needs to be removed from that position, and he needs to go to rehab. He needs rehab. He don't need another briefing. He don't need another meeting. He don't need to even be in any type of chat. He don't need to be chatting. He needs to go to rehab and chat with some people who can help him get a hold of that habit that he has. But he does not need to be in charge of anything with our federal government. And also, too, Pam Bondi, she is talking about a task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias in the U.S. government. These people want to do everything but govern people, all of the people of this nation. They want to do everything but their jobs. And it's just so crazy, because they're telling us on every level what they're trying to create. They want a white utopia, because you can't want anything but a white utopia if you think that there's anti-Christian bias in the U.S. government. Trump administration officials could be focused on anti-religion bias within the government. Anti-religion bias is much different from anti-Christian bias, because everybody's not Christian. Everybody doesn't have a Christian value system. But this is what they're doing, just like, you know, the assault and the attack on trans athletes when they were in the Senate confirmation hearings. One of the questions was, how many trans athletes have you been able to track and actually identify? And the number was less than 10. But we're making legislation, and we're holding whole Senate meetings, and we're creating laws and legislation for less than 10 people in a country of millions and millions. This is what we're doing here. Less than 10 people is not even statistically important enough or I'm not going to say important, statistically significant enough, let me use the right language here, to even be having a conversation about it, let alone write laws about it. But yeah, here we are. Here we are. Pam Bondi, the same lady that said that they were going to go after people who were attacking Tesla with the full extent of the federal government. No, she's not going against homegrown terrorism or these school shooters or people who are actually threatening our national security, like Pete Hagg said. No, she wants to go against people who are saying bad things and doing bad things at the Tesla dealership. She wants to go after them with the full weight of the federal government because Mr. Musk doesn't deserve that. Yeah. But meanwhile, this is the same government that's snatching American citizens off the street and shipping them off to detention centers all across the globe. You know, we're housing people here in the state of Louisiana. I wonder what's the incentive for that. I wonder what we getting out the deal. Is our governor still eyeing a cabinet position? I don't know. But it feels real, you know, let me get the attention of the guy that I like. You know, that you really seem like a thirsty individual. You know how they say the girls be thirsty, they be doing all that to get the boys' attention. That's what Louisiana look like right now. She looked like the thirsty girl trying to get the attention of the quarterback of the football team. Look at me, look what I could do. And meanwhile, the quarterback ain't interested, child. He ain't even checking for you. This government is strange, y'all. But look at here. I wanted to make certain that you guys knew that there is a May 3rd general election that is happening on Saturday, and Louisiana residents will vote on several tax renewals, and Jefferson Parish voters will elect a new council person. There's a runoff in Jefferson Parish. Jefferson Parish council race will feature Timothy Kerner Jr. and Andrea Emanuel to become the next council person of District 1. I don't know if I have listeners in Tangipahoa Whole Parish, but you will elect a new judge for the 21st Judicial District Court. That is Division 1. Early voting began April 19th, and it will last until April 26th, excluding, of course, Sunday, which was April 20th from 8:30 to 6 p.m. So you have until April 26th to early vote. The deadline to request an absentee ballot is April 29th by 4:30 p.m. Requests can be made online by visiting voterportal.sos.la.gov. That is voterportal.sos.la.gov. And you have to select request absentee ballot. So you can still do the absentee ballot up until April 29th, but early voting will end on April the 26th. And please make certain that you have a valid driver's license, a Louisiana special ID, the LA Wiley digital license, or a military identification card to be able to vote. You don't want to get to that line and realize you don't have your ID, so please make certain that you have some form of identification that is acceptable per this list so that you can vote for the election that is taking place Saturday, May the 3rd from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So please make certain there's a real big runoff for the city council race in Jefferson Parish. I'm a resident of Jefferson Parish, so I am very much intrigued. I will be getting out to vote. I voted previously, and my person actually did make the runoff, so yay for that. So let's make certain that we get out and vote. That race is between Timothy Kerner Jr. and Andrea Emanuel for the District 1 council race. So listen, it's been a wonderful show, y'all. I'm excited to be back. I'm going to see y'all tomorrow, but y'all stay tuned up next for the Front Porch with Gerd and Nakemba. But as far as the Good Morning Show, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt and my super producer, Nara Sanders, we going to see y'all tomorrow. This is WBOK 1230 a.m. what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Have you heard the secret of what New Orleans is talking about? I promise everything will be okay if you're listening here on the airwaves. It's that WBOK 12:30 a.m.
From the campus of Xavier University, WBOK Go and Equity Media Station.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Alexandria Ikamoni with 4 things you should know from BIN News. A trial date is set for a former sheriff's deputy in Illinois charged in the killing of Sonia Massey, a black woman, last year. A judge announced that Sean Grayson's trial will start on October 20th. An air quality alert is being issued for New York City as smoke blows in from the New Jersey wildfire. Fire crews continue to make progress on the Jones Road wildfire in Ocean County, which has destroyed over 13,000 acres and affected many black people. A new report from the FBI Internet Crime Compliance Center says scammers and cybercriminals stole a record $16.6 billion from black Americans and other races last year. Ryan Coogler's Sinners is looking to take a second bite out of the box office this weekend. It took first last weekend with its debut at $48 million. Michael B. Jordan stars in the movie. Coogler and Jordan are black. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
New Schools for New Orleans is committed to celebrating the hardworking teachers of New Orleans Public Schools. Join us at the 4th annual NOLA Teacher Fest, sponsored by the All-State Sugar Bowl New Orleans teacher community. The NOLA Teacher Fest is happening Friday, May 2nd at Champion Square from 4 to 7 p.m. The fest is open to teachers, paraprofessionals, deans, coaches, counselors, and other school support staff. Visit our website to learn more and RSVP, www.newschoolsforneworleans.org.
You're on the front porch with WBOK 1230 AM.